Hey everyone, I'm Mike from Rogala Photography, where we talk about everything photography. Today, I'm going to walk you through the basic editing steps from beginning to end. Keep in mind that this order is not set in stone. As you learn and become more comfortable with Lightroom Classic and editing in general, you'll develop routines that'll fit your style. Okay. Now, also, this is a beginner video. Okay. So if you have a lot of experience, I mean, you may want to watch it just to kind of pick up on a few tips, but it is a beginner video. So let's get started. So you're going to start with importing your photos. Importing your photos is fairly simple, but there are a few things that you should keep in mind. First off, keep your raw photos organized in a folder structure on your computer or an external hard drive. My folder structure is on an external hard drive, okay? And it's as follows. All right, you can see right here, I'm in a folder on my external hard drive called Photos. And then like, these are just like extra photos I have in here, so don't worry about those. But right here I have my camera, so it's Canon R5. Now in my older photos that I have on a different drive, I would have a Canon R5, my EOS R, and I also used to have a T7i. Now I'd have them all separate. So if you open up your folder structure, now I have years. So I have 2023 and 2024. Now, I am going to be taking my 2023 pictures and I'm going to be copying them over to my larger storage drive, okay, because I really don't need them anymore. And then here I have 2024. Open that up, and now you can see I have all the days and the months. Now, if you want to, you could just put your months in here and then open that up and then have the dates. So either or. For me, I just have the months and the dates together, and I still put the year on there, even though it is a little redundant. But I think it's just better to have it on there just in case, something gets misaligned. Okay. And then you would open up one of these folders, and then you can see I have the subject or location. Okay. And then you open that up, and then I have all my raw files. All right. So I mean, it's pretty simple to keep them organized, but I'll tell you right now, you'll thank yourself later because it's a lot easier to find your photos. You can search for a folder, and if you know that you're looking for, something by the bay, okay, and it was sunshine or it was snowy, I can do that. Or if I want to, I could search if I knew it the month. Okay, it'll give me, February 2024, and it'll give me all the February 2024 folders, and then I can search from there manually. So you want to keep your folder structure organized. Okay. So here we are in Lightroom. Okay. And what you're going to do is for importing. There's a couple different ways we're going to do this. I'm just going to show one way, keep it simple. I do have another video that I will post a link for down here that actually has keyboard shortcuts for Lightroom Classic. I strongly suggest you learn keyboard shortcuts. It'll definitely help you in the long run. But for today, I want you to know where all the pieces and all the parts are of Lightroom Classic. So I'm going to show you just what buttons to push. You could use the menus as well, but if it's out here, I'm just going to show you the buttons out here. So import, you're going to click the import tab, okay? And then you're going to scroll to where your photos are in your drive. So this is my drive right here, the photos folder that I showed you, the camera folder, the year, the day and the month, okay? And then the subject folder. You would click on that, and then all your pictures will show up. Now, mine are all faded here, as you can tell, but that's all because they've already been imported, okay? But then when you're done, you will come on over here. This button down here would not be grayed out like this. You would click it, and you would import your photos. Now, let's just say you don't want all your photos imported. You just want certain ones. Just make sure you uncheck all photos, and then you can go and you can click each one separately. Me personally, I bring them all in. This way I know where they all are. I tend not to delete all photos I don't want. You just never know when you might need something. I mean, if they're completely overexposed or underexposed, then yeah, I'll delete them. But otherwise, I'll hang on to them because you just never know. You might need have a project or an idea, and you want to try something. So I keep all my photos. Okay. So let me get out of this. Now I already have the library right here, and you can see sunshine and snow at the bay. All right. So if I click on that right there, you can see these are all the photos that I brought in. And you can see also I've already began editing some of these photos as well. Okay. So let me go back down here to just the photo that I want. So you can see here, I have, here's the raw file. Okay. And you can see that it's, underexposed. It was a sunrise out by the bay. And then this is what we're going to change it to. Okay. So we'll go back over here and we'll move on here. Okay. So I already talked about, actually, let me go back real quick. I'm going to go back to this up here. Culling. Culling is the process of going through your photos to see which ones you want to keep and which ones are throwaways. Like I said before, I tend to never delete a photo unless it is completely over or underexposed. Again, you may never know. You might want to use it for a composite photo, or you may get some ideas for, whatever. So, culling, and you can actually sort your photos by stars. Okay, you got your stars down in here, so I can do that. You can just check the ones you want. So if I'm actually over here in my grid view, I can just, click on the stars, or better yet, you probably do want to be in the individual view. You can sort your photos by stars. So if you really, really like a photo, give it, 5 stars, 4, whatever. There's also flags. So you can flag it that you like it or reject it, either or. Okay. And there is also a color coding. There is also a color coding that you can do for your photos. Again, I don't really do any of that. I should. Okay. But I don't really do that. Now, you can also do keywording, which I strongly suggest you do. I don't. Look over here. If you're in the library module and you look over here, you got your keywords and you can put whatever keywords you want in here. So if I want to go into Lightroom and do a search, I want to search for, let's just say I put bay in here. Okay. B-A-Y. All right. There you go. Bay. I believe you separate them by commas, but I have a whole video on keywording. And then basically if you need to search, so all your photos by the bay, or this happens to be Lake Ontario, I can also put Lake Ontario in here. So I put a comma and then lake, and I put a comma, and I can put winter. So I could search for any of those topics or any combination of those topics, and then those photos will come up, but not only just from this collection, but also from any other collection that you have those same keywords in. So again, it just helps you to sort them out. Again, I'll post a link in the description for keywording. Okay, for how to do keywording. Next, we have color profiles. Color profiles are basically basic color looks to get you started. It kind of gets you to a centralized look. I don't want to call it neutral, but you can see some of your profiles are in the favorites. All right, so let me come on over here to the develop module. All right, so here we are in the develop module, and okay, and we're in the develop module. Click on your basic tab, and then right here. Now this drop down list right here, this is your favorites list. I'm going to show you how you can do that in a minute. Okay, but these are ones that I have in my favorites. Now these are all the Adobe ones. These are all built in to a Lightroom and also into Camera Raw in Photoshop if you happen to use Camera Raw. Camera Raw is basically Lightroom kind of broken down like a smaller version in Photoshop. But you have different ones. You have just Adobe Color, which is just standard. You have landscape, and you can see it kind of saturated things a little bit more. You can do standard, which is just the basic color. Um, and then there is one right here called neutral, which kind of, you can see it fades out the photo a little bit. It gives you a basic low contrast photo um, that it's more neutral in regards to dynamic range. It's just basic, so it gives you more. Actually, I should say it gives you more dynamic range. Okay. Um, However, if you also see here, or actually before I do that, if you want to come to other profiles, come over here and click on this box right here, and you can see here are my Adobe raw profiles right here. Okay. And you can see when you highlight over them, it'll show you what they look like. But also, Adobe will install anything that matches your camera. So I have a Canon R5, so these will match your camera. Now you could actually leave your photo just like that. I mean, that doesn't look half bad at all. Okay, so you don't have to do any editing if you don't want to. But it also includes some artistic ones, and also I've installed, like down here are the artistic ones. These are also pre-installed into Adobe, and you can see you got black and white ones down here, modern, vintage, etc. Okay, but if you also look, I have a bunch of ones that are installed. These are just some LUTs that I use in my video editing that you can also use here in Lightroom, as well as Camera Raw. These are for what do I have here? These are, I do infrared photography, so these are just for that. Actually, no, I take that back. These are film stock presets. I have since started using Dehancer, so I really don't use these anymore. I have a bunch of videos on Dehancer if you like to do film emulation. And again, that'll be down in the description below. Okay. But what I do want to show you is some other profiles. Where do I have them right here? Right here. Okay. So I have what is called a linear profile. I have a whole video on that. I'm not going to talk about that too much, but what a linear profile does is it gives you the ultimate neutral look. So it desaturates, it lowers the contrast, so it gives you a lot of dynamic range to do a lot of editing with your photos. Okay. Now, if you want to put this in that favorite list that I showed you about before, right here is a star. So you can just click that star and see how it's unchecked. If I check it again, it'll go back. And then if I come back to my list right here, you can see I have my linears. So I like using the linear profile, so I'm going to start with linear. Again, you could choose whatever you want. If you don't have linear, or you don't feel comfortable making a linear profile, they are super simple to make. Again, it's in my video. But if you're not comfortable yet, just use Adobe Neutral. Okay, that one will work just fine. All right, but you can see here, this is my linear. Now with linear, what's cool is that you put it on linear, then you come up here and you click auto, and voila, it gives you a very, very good start. It already moves some of the sliders around a little bit. Okay. And basically you're all set right there. Okay. It's got everything. Basically the photo is done if you want to. Now me, I like to tweak things a little bit more, edit stuff, etc. Okay. But anyway, let me go over to back to my actual photo that I want to edit. So we're over here. Here's the sunrise photo. So I'm going to come back over to the develop module. I'm going to come over here. I am going to click my linear profile. And you can see it kind of just darkens it a little bit, desaturates it, the whole thing, no contrast. But then I come over here and click auto, and bam, okay, completely changes things around. And again, you could technically use it like this. Me personally, I like to push things, like there's certain things I don't like, or I want to bring out certain details, or etc. So, again, this gives me a good base. So what I would probably do here, I would definitely increase a little texture, and I would increase a little clarity. Again, a little goes a long way when it comes to editing photos. Please don't get in the habit of oversaturating your photos. It can get really, really bad. Okay. But anyway, you got that. But the next thing I actually usually do before I even start using the sliders, come on over here to your crop. Okay. And what I'll do first is I will click auto, which will level your photo. And you can see it levels it with the horizon right there. You can see it horizon. So it levels it up a little bit. And then if you want to adjust your aspect ratio and change the size of your photo, you can do that as well. If by chance, when you do hit click auto and it doesn't level with your horizon, this angle slider right here, you can slide it back and forth, and you can see I can change the angle of my photo, etc. But I'll just come over and click auto again. And also too, there's this tool here. I never really use it, but if you click that, you could draw a line on the what you want the Adobe to or Lightroom to level to, and it'll level to that line. So you would draw it along your horizon. Okay. But anyway, there's your crop. All right. So now I'll come in here. I'll do a little tweaks. I'm gonna add a little bit more tint, not too much. Again, it was a sunrise, pre-sunrise, if you will. The sun hasn't quite come up yet. Vibrance, definitely do that. Okay. And I'm pretty much done here. Now you can always come back and you can change things. Okay. Which I probably will in a little bit. But the next thing I go to is my details. This is where you do your sharpening and denoise. Now, me using the Canon R5, I really don't use denoise as much anymore. I'm usually shooting at pretty low ISOs, so I don't have to worry about the noise. But Adobe does have an AI version of denoise that actually works quite well. It only works on raw photos though. So you would click that and then allow Adobe to do its thing. And what it'll do is it will create a DNG file, which is another form of a raw file. Okay. And it'll do that. And then you can go and do your edits. Okay. Again, I usually don't use it, but what I do is anyway, um, I always bring my radius all the way down and my details all the way up. Don't ask me why. I saw somebody do this one time on Facebook when I was learning, not on Facebook, on YouTube. And I really like the results. So I turn the radius all the way down, details all the way up. And then for landscape photos, I bring the sharpening up to somewhere in the mid 80s. Okay. If I was doing a portrait, I would definitely bring it down a lot lower, like in the 50s or so. But then I would click on the masking and then hold down your option key. And you can see how it turns everything black and white. And you move your masking slider. And this tells Lightroom what parts of your photo you want to sharpen. Because you really don't want all that. I mean, look at it. That's masking all the way off. You don't want that. So you want to sharpen, because if there is any noise in your photo, you don't want to sharpen it. So you bring that down to where you think are important. Skies, I don't really want to sharpen anything in the sky too much. So I'm going to bring that down, bring it down. So right about there, that's perfect for me. And then just those areas that were in white are going to be sharpened. All right, probably the most avoided panel in Lightroom Classic is the calibration panel. Okay, right here on the bottom. Okay. Everyone seems to be intimidated by it because they don't really understand it. Basically, this panel tweaks the colors based on the RGB primaries. You have red, green, blue, and a blue primary, RGB. Each one has a hue and a saturation slider. There's also a tint slider, but I tend not to use that slider. As you saw, I use the tint in the basic panel. Like with the basic panel, adjust these sliders sparingly. This panel is the secret to many photos, many great photos, I should say, that you may have actually seen. Here, I would tweak this back and forth. And again, I'm just going to go a little bit each way. If you go one way, you can see how it's kind of going more magenta, but not completely. Like the blues are fine. Okay. But you can see that the yellows turn more orangish, which is what I wanted. And then if I want to, I can saturate that a little bit more. Okay. And again, just be careful with your photo. Don't go crazy. Okay. Now I come to the green primary. If I push it over to green, it's going to go even more magenta. And over here, if I go the other way, it's going to go more on the yellowish side. Again, I want to be more on the orangey magenta side. So right there, I'm not going to hit the saturation on this one. Now the blue primary, this is going to adjust more of the blues up here. Okay. But it will affect other colors as well. But I'm going to go a little bit more towards the cyan. Again, because it was a sunrise. All right. And again, you can see how here's my photo before the calibration tool and then after. Much more realistic, much more impactful and more dramatic with those, with the oranges built up in there, and then the yellows kind of hidden in the back there. So that is your calibration tool. Hey, I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but I have a photography newsletter that you can sign up for. I'll include my latest videos, expert photography tips, and all the exciting news from Rogala Photography. Sign up now and never miss an update on enhancing your photography skills and also keeping up with my journey as a photographer, and also with my site and my social media pages. You can sign up at the link in the description below. It is free. It is spam free. I absolutely hate spam, so I will not be sending you any. When you do sign up today, you'll also get a free PDF download that includes all the keyboard shortcuts for Lightroom Classic. Use the link in the description below to receive your download. Also, while you're down there, if you could please hit that subscribe button to subscribe to my channel, and also click the like button. It really, really does help my channel. Thank you all for the support. With the color mixer, it is done photo by photo. Some photos need more tweaking to the colors and some don't. With this photo, I'll use the new point color tool to adjust specific colors to make them pop. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on over here. Now this is your standard color mixer. It's got hue, saturation, and luminance. Okay. Me personally, I'm going to use the color. This is a new feature that Adobe added a couple months ago. You click the eyedropper tool and you come on over here, and let's just say I want to tweak some of these colors here. So I want to tweak this color right here, and you do that. It makes a swatch and it gives you a range of the colors. Okay. And you can actually adjust the range. Now I'm going to adjust the luminance. I want that a little bit brighter because it was a sunrise. Okay. I could hit saturation just a little bit more, but not a lot. And I could also shift the hue, whereas if I want to go more toward the reds, or if I want to bring it more towards the yellows. Again, I want to stay right on the oranges, on the oranges right there. But here you can also adjust the hue range, etc. I have a whole, again, another video I did, whole video on the point color tool. Again, that link will be in the description as well. Okay, the next one again would be photo by photo basis. Okay, color grading. Color grading is done on a photo by photo basis. Every photo is different, so you may or may not need to do this. Okay, usually with a sunrise or a sunset photo, I'll do some light color grading to bring out the colors in the sky. Okay, so if I click on the color grading tab right here, you see you got these three wheels right here. Now you can leave this like this and you can adjust them manually this way. I tend to click on these right here. This is all of them. That's the one we're on right now. This is your shadows. This is your mid ranges or midtones. And then this is your highlights. Especially with sunrise and sunsets, I tend to start with the highlights. Okay. So I want to warm this up again even more. So again, I move this dot in the middle here. And again, a little goes a long way. Don't want to go crazy. Now, if you also look, you can also move the slider down here it does make it a little bit easier like that. Okay. So get the tone you want or the color you want. All right. So I'm going to go probably more orange like that. And then you can click the saturation and you can see that dot in the middle move. See if I move it all the way up, it gives you all that orange. But I'm just going to do a little bit right there. And then I can brighten it up with the luminance. Okay. And again, I want that glow. I want that morning sunrise glow. Now I'll come over to the darks. I always do midtones last. Now with the darks, okay, I'm gonna want more of a blue. So let me move this over here to the blues. Oop, I don't want to go too much to the purple. Right about there is good. And again, I could bring up the saturation a little bit. Now you can bring up the luminance if you want, which will help you bring up your shadows, or you can keep it down. It all depends on your photo. So I'm going to bring them up a little bit because I do want to bring the shadows up just a little bit. We're going to adjust those a little bit more. And now midtones, midtones would be, if it's a portrait, it'll be your skin tones. Okay, again, I'm going to warm this up, but I'm going to use more of a yellow instead of an orange. Okay. And then let me see, I'm going to bring the luminance up a little bit. Again, with this being a sunrise photo, and warm up the midtones just a bit there. Okay. So that is your color grading tab. The use of masking is what sets professionals apart from amateurs in regards to photo editing. Here is how you can really make specific edits to specific areas of your photo. Every photo will be different. So as you start to understand post editing, you'll begin to know where masking is needed. Besides the sky and subject masks, I use the radial gradient and the linear gradient mask the most. I did a whole video on radial masks, as well as a video on masking tips in general, and both links will be in the description below. So for this particular photo, we come up here, here's your masks, and the first one I'm going to do is the sky, okay? And again, every photo is different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my whites. And you can see how that brings up the highlights a little bit. Shadows, let me see. Do I want to bring those up a little bit or bring them down? We're going to bring them up just a little bit like that, okay? Blacks, I want to bring them down just a little. Again, with skies especially, you do not want to over edit your skies. I have a video all about editing sky, okay? About skies. You don't want pure black in your skies. Sky right there. So I'm gonna do some more saturation, I think. And again, don't go too crazy with the saturation because you can see down in here, it's gonna start to get a little wonky on you. So you know what, maybe I will turn that down just a little bit. We could fix that later. Okay. And then if I want to, I can come down here and here's a little trick I like to do. I bring up the clarity a little bit, which normally you wouldn't do, but then I take the texture, I bring that down. And you can see it softens up those clouds where the clarity kind of gives them, they're crisper, but then you bring the texture down and it softens them back up again, but it still brings out that contrast. Okay. Sharpening, you definitely don't want to do any sharpening in your skies or anything like that. So there's that. Now I'm going to create a new mask. And I'm going to do my radial gradients. These I love. Okay, that's why I did a whole video on these. But I'm going to start over here and put this where I want it. And again, up here, you can control your feather up here. So if you want to feather, I like to feather it out a little bit more. You don't want to have pure circle because it really won't look right. I'm going to bring up my shadows a little bit here. Okay. And I'm going to make them a little more bluish. Oh, not too much. You don't want to go crazy with the blue. Again, shadows tend to be a little bit more on the blue side. And again, the lights will be more warmer. What I'm also going to do here is I'm going to bring up my texture just a tad bit, just to kind of sharpen them up a little bit. All right. And that's, again, you don't have to go crazy with them. That's all I did was the shadows pretty much. I'm going to do another radial. And I'm going to do this part right here. And the cool thing about the radials is that you can angle them like that, okay? And then again, I'm going to bring out my shadows. I could use exposure, but then see how it's like it's falling off over here into the sky. You'll get this like if I go here, see how the sky starts to get highlighted? I don't want that. I forgot to mention earlier, if you ever want to reset one of your sliders, double double click on the name, it'll go back, okay? So I'm just going to do the shadows here. All right. And for here, I'm going to warm it up because it is right there by the sun here. So I'm going to warm it up a little bit. I'm going to or up the whites a little bit. Then I'm going to come down for the clarity. And sometimes with buildings and structures, you can go a little harder with the clarity and the texture, okay, because it kind of sharpens the edges a little bit, okay. And then I am going to come on over here. I'm going to do another gradient filter, and you, like I said, you tend to you can see how much I really like them, okay. I'm going to bring this up. This I'm going to actually take the feather. I'm going to bring this one down just a little bit, okay. And then the angle, angle it a little bit more. And then I'm going to bring this down like that. And again, bring up the shadows. Yeah, it's better. There we go. And some warmth. And again, you see I'm not moving that much with the slider. So just a little bit. It goes a long, long way. Okay. Now what do I want to do? Okay. I want to use a linear gradient and kind of do sort of a vignette. Okay. I'm going to come like this. I'm going to bring this down a little bit because I don't want to affect the whole thing. And there's water right here. I want to bring the exposure down on the water just a little bit, just like that. But I'm going to bring the whites up. Okay. And then I'm going to add some warmth to the water right there because, again, sunrise. And then a little bit of tint. Not crazy because you can see you go too crazy in the tint, you get this banding in there. So, I'm not really going to put too much tint in that one. Okay. Saturation. I don't want to go crazy with the saturation. I'm actually going to bring the warmth down a little bit. Again, I don't want any banding in there. Okay. And then I'm going to bring the exposure down a little bit more. Just like that. And I'm going to bring the highlights up. All right. And I'm going to do another linear gradient. And I'm going to bring this side because this side's all blocked by the sun. Okay. So it's in shadow. So I do want to make that a little bit darker. So I'm going to come on over here, bring that down. I'm going to actually make that a little bit on the bluer side. There we go, like that. Okay. And then I'm going to do another linear gradient up here in the sky. I'm going to bring up the whites, or actually the highlights first. Let me do that. There we go. Make them a little bit brighter. And then the whites, like that. But I'm also going to bring the exposure down just a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to bring the shadows down. Because again, there's clouds there and the sun isn't completely out, so it was a little bit darker over here. Okay. We got that. Now I'm going to come over, and this is how I do my final touches on a lot of my photos. I do 2 radial gradients here. So I do one right here in the middle. Okay. And then I bring up my exposure. Okay. Now I don't want to go too much, so I'm going to bring my highlights down just a little bit. Okay. And then just like that. Then I'm going to take another radial gradient, radial gradient, and I'm going to make this one all the way to the edges. Okay, so I'm going to come like this, bring this in the middle, and then let me see, let me lift this up this way, bring it right to the edges just about, and then to the edge over this way, just like that, and then come on over here and click this invert button. So now all the red parts here are going to be affected, not in the middle. Okay. And again, this is where I'm going to do my work with my feather a little bit here. And I'm going to bring the exposure down a little bit. Okay. And it creates a vignette. And I'm going to bring the whites up and the highlights up a little bit too, just so I don't lose those clouds. Okay. And then I can always come back to my other one here and I can readjust this. I'm going to bring this down a little bit and I'm going to up the whites a little bit, I think. Yep, there we go. Okay, that's it. That's what I want. Okay. And pretty much that's the photo. Okay. Now again, there's some more advanced techniques you could do. You could do dodging and burning where you use a brush tool and you could do that. But again, this is just a beginner, so I don't want to go too crazy with it. But pretty much there's your photo. Okay. Um, you could do your before and after. So let me close up my mask here. Okay. So here's your before. That's what the photo looked like before. There's after. Okay. I mean, look at the difference. I mean, you couldn't even see the buildings. The sun was orange or yellow. Okay. It was very, very, and I usually do this. I usually do underexpose a lot of my landscape photos. And it's because of this reason, because my R5 has great dynamic range and I can bring it all back, but still keep my highlights. Cause look at my highlights there and there. I mean, I still have the detail in my highlights. So that's what you really want. So there you have it. If you want me to do an intermediate video, please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and click that like button. It really does help. Ring that bell if you want to be notified when my next video is posted. Until next time, take care, everyone.